immediately have to ruin it for me.
I'm sorry, Beth. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. And
it was brought to our attention that our hero, and he is a hero. I don't give a fuck what people say. Gary Puppet has not been either on Twitter or on our site now for a while, long enough to where we're a little concerned, and hopefully he just found some hot broad and he's just going at it every night, and he's like, goodbye, losers.
Now, granted, he has 50 IP addresses and 80 Twitter identities, exactly. And we've contacted Jillian Barbary and Lauren Sivan and Aaron Andrews, and they don't know where he is. But he is a legend. He is the go. I'd say, along with Bring Back Jackie, the Twitter goats of trolling Howard like nobody else does.
There's been a handful of guys who just they rise to the top of our universe, and like Nemo was one.
Yeah.
And Gary is just like. Gary was the first guy on Omaha Beach. They blew his leg off, but he just kept on going forward until all the Germans were dead.
Beanie Mac is in here. Hey, black guy. He's a great joke. So it's like Gary Puppet actually ran out of Twitter characters. Like he used so many P's. He ran out of alphabets and numbers he can no longer be on Twitter.
I think he was pinging from Nova Scotia the last we heard from him.
He's the reason I know what a VPN is. The man taught me what a VPN is. VPN, like I'm a drinking coach, he's a VPN coach.
I kind of talked him through VPNs and all this other stuff and how to like fake, what do you call that when you fake a phone number? Spoof?
Oh, spoof.
Yeah.
Like I didn't never did it myself. I said, dude, this is what you do, because Google is our friend. And he after that it was like it's like unleashing the hounds.
There's the first post by Xavier, right?
Yeah. Well, here's a fun fact, and I was sharing this with the guys. If you watch the E show when they had the Gary Puppet always had a shirt that says "Pop Puppet" on it, right? And Gary made that and mailed it to the Stern show, and they put it on the puppet. So, I mean, I know that seems like kind of trivial to some, but to me, that's impressive, man. That dude was everywhere. It's always funny, like. When Gary he goes into incognito, and he knows how to work like Ashley and Beth and all these other people, and then next thing you know, he's asking them about will they accept his member into their nether regions.
Yeah, that was Gary Puppet's genius. Was he would befriend? I say was. I'm hoping it still goes on.
Yeah, I hope it's still
like the third cousin of Jeff Schick on Facebook, and eventually worked his way up to Howard Stead, and then finally. I was giving Gary Puppet the credit for getting the Boys in the Hamptons video, but it wasn't him, but it might as well have been him. And him using the puppet as his alias makes him all the more scarier in like a Chucky way or something where you're afraid of content. I don't know why that puppet associated with him makes it more terrifying.
Look at it. It's creepy as hell.
Gary was the first person to literally bring Howard to his knees. Mr. Throw funerals for DJs and have soon to be dead DJs' wives in the studio. And for all his bravado, Gary is the one that made him blink. If you guys remember, that it's been about 10 years now, where Howard did the famous I have people who are involved, who are undercover or whatever, and we're getting to know these people. He's talking about Gary.
We have that audio, in fact.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, we'll play it.
I don't know when he wants to play it, but we have that audio.
Let's play it now.
We can do it now. Yeah. So Howard is talking about Gary.
I got a guy now who's finding out the real names of the occupations of what the people do who bully me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of a fighter, so there's this one dude, 36 years old from California. I'm looking into him now, and there's a couple of others. I'm just gonna learn about them and find out what makes them tick and what they do. I'm all about that. I'll go to war with anybody. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm a warrior. Let's do it.
See, you're Crixus. I'm Spartan.
Gee.
You know what's funny? This kind of there's echoes of the Iraqi War. The mighty mechanism that was Howard Stern, and then you have this insurgence from this dude in Orange County, California, who just absolutely maimed Howard. It's just
They that's from 10 years ago. So they kind of butchered his age and they're trying to guess, and they had someone snooping around and they put that out there. And I don't know. Beanie Mac goes, Gary Puppet probably weaseled his way into Ashley's wedding without being Howard being the watcher. That's really good. Little Doodle writes in our forum, I noticed he hasn't been around here lately, and I've checked his Twitter account on hoping to see a tweet, but nothing. That's what really worries me. When you don't see him on Twitter, that's when you get worried. Gary Puppet, if you're reading this, please, we're all concerned. We
we're
love
not
you very much.
eulogizing him. We love the cat, He's a good guy, and just, unfortunately, we've lost, some of our partners online in the past, and so we're just
it's very, very depressing. I have a really tough time. We lost it's the Southern listener, who's a dude I knew. He is from Atlanta, and he goes back to Stern Fan Network. Really
good guy.
Wise guy. He just unfortunately
smart as hell.
Yeah, and he took his own life, and that was really sad. Scott Bale's penis. We haven't seen the likes of Nemo, and I think I'm missing a few other people. But when there's something about this online community. People just vanish one day. It's not like you're not allowed to just vanish and be done with us in this whole world. I get it. It's exhausting.
And it's all good. It's all good. We wish everybody the best, no matter who they were, or who they are. It's like we get it. Sometimes you got a new hobby, and now you're doing like model rockets or something. That's all good.
The other thing, the fantasy football angle with him worries me too, because he was into it.
That's the part that I think that like, oh crap.
He's
worries
got
me
me
too.
Twitter there. Is it football season yet?
Yeah. Do you remember Hunter S. Thompson's suicide note? It said football season's over.
Ah, geez. Well,
that's what that reminds me of. That's where I get worried. I hope I'm overshooting it.
You know what? I hope he shows up tonight and makes us all look like assholes. I really do.
Yeah, that's what we're going for. I want to smoke him out, as it were. Lauren Marie says, I don't think Beth does that much with her face besides makeup. She has fine lines and wrinkles, so she doesn't get Botox. Maybe lip filler. She's getting some jowling, so she looks like she's aging naturally. Again, when you have no stress and no cares in the world, and you're not going to age like normal women do. She really shouldn't. She should look as young as humanly possible at 61 or whatever her age is.
Hey, Beanie Mac. Yes, there are a couple of people that know him.
His government name.
Say in real life, but they're not neighbors with him or anything. They're just people that become acquainted with him online, and they know some of his stuff, and they haven't heard from him. So that's why we're here. So
we've tried every angle, Black Guy, and there's no. When I think the fantasy football thing worries me the most out of every year, he would harass me to commission the fantasy football, and now I'm really into it, and he's nowhere to be found.
We got some feedback from yesterday's show. So
Howard Stern's daughter, who is a nurse, has a DNP, not a PhD. A DNP can be purchased for as little as $20 or $40,000 online. There is no actual patient care involved. It's mostly the theory of nursing. It's basically for people who want to teach nursing. This degree is no way near a PhD.
Ooh, thank you.
So that's a cease. This guy wants us to cease and desist with
saying PhD.
We were incorrect. Let's talk about Aaron.
Like most men, I did not watch the Jets. And I know everyone's all bummed out about Aaron Rodgers. What'd they pay him? Like, what was the number?
75
million? Yeah, for 2 years. And then he got injured after four plays.
Howard, that's guaranteed money.
I think if it wasn't guaranteed money, he wouldn't be that injured. I truly believe that.
You think he got injured on purpose?
No, it's a psychological thing, too. No, the injury's real. Don't get me wrong. I like to see players be paid well, and certainly if you're going to go out there and get mutilated in the NFL, someone ought to get paid. A lot of the lower-rung players, they get injured, and then they're out. They don't even get paid that much money. I think the NFL is the most unfair, bullshit fucking organization that is anti-player. I mean, it's basically a monopoly that they fucking hose these guys.
Thoughts, please.
He's trying to take some, I don't know, some righteous take, some altruistic take that someone forced NFL players to play, and it's a conspiracy that the NFL plucked these guys out of a house and threw them onto a field, and they're doing charity work. Like he cares about any other human being on the planet's well-being in any way, shape, or form.
Once again, this is the cat that has had 2 documented people commit suicide soon after being on his show.
Right.
But all of a sudden he cares.
I think
this
the
is
very
a
worst
guy.
thing is,
this is a guy whose loyal employee, Scott's wife, disintegrated from cancer, and he didn't even have the decency of saying, "Hey, Scott's got a Patreon. If anybody wants to chip in, that's cool." He is the most douchebag, self-righteous person in history.
I think the very worst thing is he gets his sports talking points from Gary and John
100%.
Hine.
You can totally
So when
tell.
he's talking about the Jets, Gary looks at his opportunity to shine, and he's giving Howard talking points because Gary's like Mr. Jet, and the sports talk on this show is some
Or John
of the worst.
Hine, even worse. You're right. All his sports information comes from Gary and John.
But Steve Z is right too. Like he's really worried about the first question he asked Gary is, Gary, what does he make a year? He wants to know that he makes you're not allowed to know his salary in any way, shape, or form, but he wants to know Aaron Rodgers' salary immediately because he wants to know he makes more than, and he's actually jealous because his goal is really Aaron Rodgers' goal is money for nothing, right? When he got to Sirius, it was like, how do I be Oprah? How do I be Jamie Foxx? How do I be Eminem and not have to be here? His goal was to do as little live radio as possible and bilk you people for lifetime subscriptions. There's nothing worse than him talking sports. And it's always going to be with ulterior motive, but you're getting even less informed. For him to start with sports, it's something agenda-ridden that has nothing to do with the actual game on the field.
There's a little more to this clip. He continues with Aaron.
Listen, if I had a kid who wanted to be in athletics, I'd either teach him golf or tennis so they could have a life. I mean, football's the dumbest fucking sport. You take a masterful athlete like Aaron Rodgers, and of course he's going to get injured. I mean, it shouldn't shock anyone. A guy's holding a ball, and from out of nowhere, somebody knocks him down, and these guys weigh over almost 300 pounds, some of them, and they come in at some of the fastest speeds. It's like getting hit by a car.
That's
he didn't
the
even
game.
get hit that hard.
No, he's never been hit. His whole thing if you watch him on Green Bay, his whole thing is he's elusive. He's such a quick release. He never gets injured. That's how he can play 18 years in a row, 16 games. He's the worst guy to bring that up to. Anything Jets is snakebit. When you play on the Jets or the Knicks, they are a cancer and a blight on everything around them, and you will get injured, and your career will be over as soon as you go to either the Jets or the Knicks. It never fails.
Today, I heard on sports radio, they described what happened as the most Jets thing ever that happened to
It is. I knew you knew that was going to happen. Does that surprise anybody? You're waiting for it.
Yeah. And, I mean, so many athletes in their 20s blow out. I mean, that's like a rubber band at the back of your leg, and sometimes it just snaps.
Alexander the Third's right. This is like you're walking in. It's like you're just sitting on a dinner table and your 75-year-old, uncle, aunt and uncle are talking about sports. This is what that sounds like. And you're sort of rolling your eyes, and you don't want to correct them. You just sit there, and they're trying to sound hip or current event laced. He should just drop all current events, just all of it.
100%.
No more grooving. The only thing saving is he should just do a one-on-one interview show. That should have been the second Artie left. It should have just gone to straight one-on-one interview the whole time.
Well, he
no grooving,
that,
no current events, nothing.
But I don't think the thing is his shtick is that he does like 10-hour interviews. I mean, who the hell, if your publicist wants to send your actor or whatever to the Howard Stern show, when it's like you got to invest at least 2 hours of your life.
It didn't work out the way I think he planned.
No,
because
100% it didn't.
It would have been good if he was asking.
He's too lazy
stuff that wasn't so basic, like what's a Fender guitar? How do you string a? He just asked a stupid. So then it ruined it. If he could ask good questions, but he's just so slow. He's so slow. He's not snappy.
That's a great point, Bon. The reason he takes 2 hours is because he takes 2 hours to ask a single question. right? If you just snap through it, he can't handle anything less than that. Monique had a great point too, is that when he spends 2 hours on this show, he can't do anything. The guest can't do anything else in the air. So you're blocking them from doing the view and all the other stuff that's in and around that area. That was a great point. I never thought of that.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to really commit if you're going to be on his show, man. And for what? For what? They can't even tell you like how many
They
people
won't
listen
release
to
the
them.
metrics, right? They won't.
Exactly. It's like, come on,
Imagine
man.
imagine being scheduled as the guest, knowing what's going to happen. You'd be like, oh, this is going to be
Yeah, but
really full
look at
on.
the
Like he's prying into my life.
When was
you know?
When was the last time he had someone who was relevant to what's going on that year on his show? Everybody
Well, he
that
used
comes
to be-
on
he
was
used to
relevant
make-
like
Movies, that's the best he can do.
10
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago,
you're right.
5 years ago. It's like the
He-
last chance gas.
That was one of the worst things about Sirius, because when he was at Terrestrial, he had pressure to have the guests promoting the movie on Friday, and the move was they would come in
100%.
and they do all the talk shows, and now he doesn't have to do that, so he doesn't have to be. And they used to make great efforts to have, like, if they did a current event story, they would try to bring the person on to talk. I can't tell you how many times be some salacious shit happening in current events, and they'd bring the person on to call in, and he'd grill them on it. And that's no way that's happening now, ever.
There was a time, you're right, back on Terrestrial, where it was just expected that whatever movie was opening up that weekend, someone from that movie would be on the Stern
He's
Show.
probably
Wednesday or
going to get
Thursday.
someone to do it. Yeah. There'd be 3 movies that would like maybe come out on a Friday. He's probably going to get one of the, whatever, the first on the call sheet, top 3 actors. He's going to get somebody from that movie to do it. And maybe
when
do it
was
the
the
same
last
day.
time he had John Favreau on?
No, it's been a while.
Yeah, all those people kind
Favreau
of
doesn't
dropped
need
off.
him. That's a good point. Favreau hasn't been on in a long. That's a good one.
And he was a
He's been
fan.
on in a
I
very long
don't know if
time.
he's still a fanboy, but he was.
Well, they had that Iron Man mask controversy with him.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous thing ever. I mean, I guess it was funny, but the Howard couldn't accept the fact that basically everything is now done by computers and there's no actual physical props anymore.
Yeah,
you know? And it's preposterous.
How about a little more on Aaron? I think that they were musing on what Aaron can do other than playing.
The Jets were featured on that show, Hard Knocks. Yeah. And there were times where Aaron was on the sideline and he's in Zach's ear telling him what to do, and it seemed to help. So I'm hoping that maybe Aaron could become something of a coach to this kid and make him better.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll see. So no more Aaron Rodgers. I was just going to mention that.
Well,
OJ.
there's going to be an MRI today. They haven't completely
shut up, Robin.
diagnosed the situation yet.
He's probably thrilled. He's going to get $75 million for 2 years, and he
There
doesn't
you
have to
go.
play.
Is he kidding?
It's
This is it.
he's thrilled.
This is it.
Probably like, hey Don,
And that's the
I'll give you
dream.
$1 million. Just tell him I can't play.
Tell him it's
Go
a
out.
career-ending injury.
Yeah. You know, who I
It
feel
actually
bad for
might
is
be.
that Zach guy, the backup quarterback. He thought he was going to get paid without having to do a thing. Now he's got to get to work. He's like,
it's on his shoulders now.
yeah.
He's got to be
He was a
Aaron
quarterback
Rodgers.
last
That's
year.
what everybody was expecting.
You see, like the old Howard Stern show, really pull up Zach Wilson's mom, who was like ridiculously good looking, and she looks like she's 20. You know, now it's like, oh well, he's probably happy he got injured. Like he's a 39-year-old man, dude. I mean, come on.
No, and he's projecting his money for nothing shit on Aaron Rodgers. Not to mention the fact he's a very easy. Aaron Rodgers is someone that's really easy to pile onto from the ivermectin, Joe Rogan vaccination saga last year. It's a very easy thing for him to pick on him because he thinks he's going to get support. It's not punching up or punching down, but it's just a very easy target at this point in the media
But
for him to do.
Listen, like him or not, the man is driven. You don't do what he's done by just kind of half-assing it. He is a competitor. He wants to win. He gets pissed off when he loses. I've worked NFL games, and when you're done, you have to walk out the tunnel with the athletes.
Yeah.
The majority of these cats are already on their phone, like hooking up with hoes and stuff. They don't give a F that they just lost on Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. They don't care. They have
I think the
wonderful
NBA
life.
life's even better than that.
It's probably. I've worked with a couple NBA guys. They're pretty happy dudes. They're dudes in their early 20s with millions of dollars and access to the most attractive women in the United States. they don't. Not most of them don't care if they lose. Aaron Rodgers is not like that. He's the one of these dudes that he gets pissed off when he loses. You know, and I'm not the biggest fan of Aaron Rodgers, but give him that.
Steve, Howard knows, and John's got a clip of him.
Yeah, I have.
being
I gave
furious
on those
later.
clips.
Yeah,
That's underlying it too, Steve Z. You're right.
that'll be in the
whole
computer.
right.
But there's more because a retired pro footballer calls up, and this segues into. He makes an analogy, and Howard cannot resist this. I mean, everything this retired pro footballer says, sort of goes through in one ear and out the other because Howard liked what he said at the start.
I hear you talk about being on the set of the movie and you're living this. You're in this bubble. It's almost not even real, and that's what it's like playing pro sports. You're so catered to in every meal, and you're flying on charters every week, and you're getting to go to events that you never dreamed you get to go to, and concerts and shows, and then you get chewed up and spit out, and it does create, I think, a level of bitterness. But then you kind of realize that you got to defeat the ego side of it and say, wait, who do I think I am? You know, I'm not Aaron Rodgers. It did take a while for me to kind of swallow the fact that the game was done with me, and it didn't quite end on my terms. So it is difficult, and that bitterness is there. It rears its head every once in a while.
Yeah, you make a really good analogy to the movie set. When I was on that movie set for 4 months, I felt like the king of the world. They coddled me because they had invested millions of dollars in my story and making the movie. They made sure I got there. They, like if all of a sudden I needed a ping pong table, it appeared. They built me an apartment at the set so that I could be there longer. And then when it was over, I got really depressed. Like I had to go back home and be a regular guy. You know what I mean?
Are we supposed to believe that his life? Are we supposed to believe that his life at Sirius isn't 10 times greater than the pampering he had on Private Parts?
The guy who
I think he's way more enabled now. I think he's way more spoiled now.
And it's like,
and the shit about him talking about Aaron Rodgers' money. He makes double what Aaron Rodgers makes. He loves to count other people's money and pretend to deflect off of what he makes. It's Aaron Rodgers has something called passion. He loves something. He's got a skill. He has an actual passion. He's not a poser like you who's just looking to do nothing all the time and grift offhand. You're a fucking con artist, huckster, grifter. Aaron Rodgers has passion for something. That's the difference.
It's you hear this man talk and then cut to that footage of him walking in the hallway with bodyguards and it's like,
serious question.
Dude. Okay,
what is
bro.
where is he more spoiled at Sirius or the Private Parts set? It's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even
what he
close.
Gets away
Absolutely.
with at Sirius. I'll say terrestrial. I think he was more spoiled at terrestrial. Going back to that life. When has he not had every advantage in the world?
It's like clear the hallway. I mean, come on, man. Really?
And
the guy who's allowed to pretend that germs are still a thing with him for 2-3 years now, and he's I'm treated like a regular guy. Really? You know what? You work at freaking Hardee's drive-thru and you tell them that you're afraid of germs. See how quick that job ends.
Well, you're an insider on America's Got Talent. Was he more spoiled on AGT than he was on?
Dude, he was just like he came in. He was like he lived in a cocoon. You know. The dude is like absolutely.
I know, and he was because he's allowed to because he's coach. I agree with you. If you could give a moratorium on something, we should do a vote. I don't know what show does it. Like every week, we should vote a topic that we're not allowed to bring up again. And I vote Private Parts, his parents, JD, and Ronnie. If I had to vote those, never talk.
I heard that on you mentioned that on the last Deafening, and I agree, but Dennis doesn't agree with that, so it's not going to happen. No, which is fine. It's fine. I just think it's played out, but it being mentioned in that context in that clip is fine with me. I just don't want to talk about how much. I don't want to talk about how much money it made and where it got released and all that stuff. But it's sad because that caller said something. I'm not a sports person, but even so, that was very insightful. How he said it spit him out, and Howard
spit who? I didn't listen to spit who out.
That caller who was a retired.
Spit who out though?
pro footballer said that industry spits
because
you out once you're useless.
because it's merit based. It's not charity.
That's
work.
right.
You either have the goods or you don't. If you can't deliver, you're out. That's the best part about sports.
He was also saying that I didn't put it in, but after the career there isn't much opportunities. But it's still, Howard did not even sympathize with him. He just talked about himself. That's what irritated me so much. It was an insightful moment, ruined. And I don't want to hear about them building you an apartment on the set of private parts.
Could you imagine having no other frame of reference and no other new life experiences that you have to reference something 26 years ago? That's not even really linked to that at all.
To put it in context, it's like if we did a show 3 times a week and all we did was talk about the Spice Girls, OMC, and the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Backstreet Boys. I said Backstreet Boys. But no joke.
Vacuous
like if we
content.
Just did that. Like that's basically like
if you bring up Marilyn Manson and Limp Bizkit, you know how laughed at you would get in conversation right now.
Exactly.
But it's all right for him. That's the same. You're absolutely right. That's the same era.
Yeah, it's 1997.
How dare you?
Yeah, that was a while ago. You know, come on. It's like, should we do a whole show on?
Howard's
like
also jealous.
In 1997.
Howard's also jealous that Aaron Rodgers chose Joe Rogan, and he successfully hosted a game show, which he cannot pull off in every way. He's everything Howard's not, including most of all passionate about what he does.
You know, at least, if this were to be the career-ending injury for Rod, at least he knows he's going to the Hall of Fame. He knows he's done stuff that no other people will be able to do. And he's like, he'll have a sense of fulfillment. And meanwhile, Stern's still talking about 1997. You know, come on, man, Jesus.
Well, speaking of that era, he goes into OJ. Oh, that was a good segue. He goes. Thank you. It's hard sometimes. He's talking about how OJ got away with it. So
well, on 9/11, I would just like to say, at least they didn't get away with it. We got Osama bin Laden. They never got the guy who killed my wife, Ron Goldman, but those cowards attacked people on the planes with box cutters. Why don't they use a knife like a real man? I mean, OJ opening up on 9/11 about his pain.
So that was just his bad. I just put it in for his bad OJ impersonation. It's
very courageous, very courageous going after OJ in 2023.
After Norm Macdonald, nobody should try to do OJ stuff. You know, like Dave Chappelle was really good when he did it, but you got to be like Dave Chappelle level after Norm Macdonald to go do OJ stuff.
I think what Howard says. I think they're going to retry it. I think they're going to retry him again. They're going to do the trial all over because Howard brought attention.
Yes.
Really think he stumbled onto some new ground here. What's more tedious, OJ talk or Elvis talk in 2023?
Oh, that's tough. Oh,
what's more creatively bankrupt? Going on which one? Or Beatles talk?
Oh, Beatles. But OJ, Elvis is pretty bad. They're all pretty bad. But it's still crazy because he does that impersonation for a good 5-10 minutes and he puts a bit of grunt into it.
Yeah.
And he's exhausted after it. So we're going to go to the scope. Watch this.
Yeah, he's living his best life. Anyway, I don't want to talk about OJ all morning, but it's just too much. It's too much. OJ. I mean, I'm thinking about when I hung out with OJ at Trump's.
What do you think he's reading right now? You see those pauses? He's staring at the screen. He's reading. God damn it! $4,000 a minute, people. $4,000 a minute.
That's slowing down pretty hard.
Well, OJ will come up with a zinger once or twice a year over something that's going on, like a verdict, a trial, or whatever, and those would be totally fair game. It wasn't for the fact that 99% of the time something like that happens, Howard's on vacation.
Yeah.
So it's like OJ had a zinger like back in like early July on his Twitter, but like that's like Howard still had like 7 weeks of vacation at that point, you know?
It is insane though, just that OJ's on Twitter. I've never seen anything like it. It's
when you were in
so
Australia,
crazy.
were you guys kind of like, well, all right, this ex NFL player killed 2 people, move on? Could you believe how much attention we
No.
gave it? It's
This
kind of
was
like
no.
I was just like, and I'm an
I
NFL fan. I'm like, what are we doing? There's people killed like more every day. There's a bigger homicide than that. Matthew Broderick killed the same amount of people in Ireland. We never talk about it. Let's talk about Matthew
Yeah.
Broderick with Jennifer Grey and riding
In
shotgun
Ireland?
killing 2 in Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah, in
It
Ireland.
talk
was
about-
huge here, though. It was on the
Okay.
news, and I watched it live. They played it on our networks live on the day, it was on at like 9 a.m. or something here. It was crazy. I could not stop reading about it. I was absolutely fascinated. The more I read, I was like, this is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah, I don't know about. Didn't Brandy, the singer, kill the same amount of people?
Did she really, Brandy?
Oh, she was involved in like some sort of DUI type of.
Oh, I don't know.
shenanigans.
Was she? I didn't know that.
oh no.
Pretty sure she
Probably,
Mara
did.
Francois, you listening to this? Did Brandy kill 2 people? I didn't know that.
Oh, let's just look it
You
up.
might
here.
be
Hang on.
you could be confusing with someone. Maybe you're right. Maybe she did. I usually have my Brandy alerts up, and I didn't see anything on it. So
That was a while
Yes,
ago.
you're
bro.
right.
I guess the Spice
2007,
Girls.
fatal
The Spice Girls were still
California
around.
fatal California car crash. 4-car freeway crash in 2007, and a 38-year-old woman died. Jesus, how do you live after
Bruce
doing
Jenner almost killed as many people as OJ.
Mookie Blaylock, right?
Mookie Blaylock.
Driving on the wrong side of the road. He's an NBA legend. Let's talk about Mookie Blaylock killing 2 people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The whole thing with OJ, though, I mean, I think what it was is that car chase on the 405 freeway.
Yeah.
That's where it became like, whoa, this is some weird crap going on here, you know? And the evidence was so overwhelming, and he still got off.
Oh, and they got away. It was that car, yeah, that slow speed car chase, incredible. I
What's
watched
incredible
it like
about
a
it,
year
Bron?
ago, the whole live feed on, it's like hours. I could not believe it.
The freeway is a 405. It runs from Orange County all the way up to like north of Hollywood. It is impossible to go 10 miles an hour on that freeway on a normal basis. And the fact that this guy just, I think what impressed me is that he got from like the Disneyland area all the way up to like Brentwood in the time that he did. You'll never see that again.
You couldn't write a script for a movie better than that. That's like amazing. So, in a way, thanks for that, you guys. Thanks.
Long Island has
America.
a much more homicidal Brentwood than California does. By the way, I should say, and Lancito, he set a precedent. I think every trial should be televised. I think every single trial that's relevant should be for full transparency, so nobody can lie. I think cameras should be in every court. I don't care if it's federal. I want it all televised. Nothing should be hidden. We should see everything now.
The day after the actual murder, I was helping my friend move from UCLA. Her semester was over, and so we were up there loading a U-Haul when we, all this, it's all over the news. And I'm like, bro, if you're familiar with UCLA, it's not that far from Bundy Drive. So we decided to drive over, which is only it was only a few blocks, and we parked. And it's just the media's there, looky-loos are there, the neighbors are pissed off. Like, let's just do this. Why don't we just pretend we're just taking a walk? And so we're walking, right, and then we walking right in front, around the police tape where the murder happened, and we just did this pregnant pause where we looked over, and the second we did, you just hear, "Get a fucking life!" Like from the neighbors, and it's like it looked the whole sidewalk. It looked like someone went to like Spirit Halloween and bought a gallon of that novelty blood and just dumped it all over. It was like, dude, the volume of blood that was on that sidewalk, it was pretty gnarly, man.
I love that you were helping Cheryl Miller move out of UCLA.
Yeah, it was nuts, man.
How
Which
about
one is boogier? USC. USC is way sketchier than UCLA. If you're walking around USC, you're probably going to be robbed. You know, that is not the most.
Isn't
friendliest thing I've ever-
Pepperdine like Malibu U? Isn't it like the ultimate
Yeah.
school to go to in California? I don't know much about it, but I heard that that's like the best school.
David, honestly, I
Sour
don't
Shoes
remember.
Sour Shoes went to Pepperdine.
My friend was she had like 4 roommates, so I couldn't. It's in that Westwood area, so you know if you're familiar with that. So it wasn't that I couldn't tell you the exact street I was on, but it was like a 5-minute drive over to Bundy. So yeah.
Bon, what do you? What's next on the?
we've got so Adam, this is weird. Adam Duritz from Counting Crows records a cover version of Howard's song Metamucil Man, and it's just a weird.
Adam Duritz is sitting home. He goes, you know, that is a great love song, Metamucil Man. Here's a guy who loves Metamucil so much. He recognized the genius of it. And he said he wanted to do a cover of Metamucil
Really?
Man.
He called you and asked permission?
That's right. That's right. That's what you do when you're a mensch.
Of course he has to ask for permission. It's Howard we're dealing
Yeah.
with.
Helps me move, makes me go.
Listen to this. It's very bad.
Got perfection in my toilet bowl.
Oh. So, you get the gist.
Is Emily Stern a producer on the show now? What the hell's going on?
So, I mean,
Remember when Casey Armstrong covered Counting Crows at the karaoke contest?
so that's but the reason I played is what the fuck's going on with this crap?
Well, I'm sure
Like,
Howard will
what is
return the
this
favor for
crap?
Adam Duritz when he asks.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And who thinks anybody wants to hear this crap? It wasn't even that lazy version of it. It's so stupid, and they go on and on about it.
I think he's
Wow,
a
what
better
is this
bartender
crap?
than he is a front. I think he's a better Viper Room bartender than he is a front.
Bro, that's giving him praise, man. He's probably worked for Postmates or whatever.
Former
He's probably
Viper Room employee.
He's probably delivering someone's food as we speak.
Stop doing free labor for Howard. I don't care how much it sucks. Stop doing free shit for him. He'll never return the favor, but you'll never get it back. Stop
He's
helping
no
the show
Emily.
out. They have 70 employees. He gets $4,000. Howard made $4,000 during that song, by the way. Stop helping him out.
All
All right, let's get to something better. This comes up, and it's this bizarre revelation that Howard Beefus needs an EpiPen, and it's all explained in the clip.
I
But
just
this is
wanted to mention, I was listening to the Strengthology Live a couple of weeks ago during the summer, and I don't know what's up with Gary, but he said that you not only do you wear boots when you're in snake country, of course. He also mentioned that you have an EpiPen that you carry around for yourself because just in case.
I carry an EpiPen, not for myself, but for my wife. She stepped on a bee 2 summers ago. And if I showed you the picture, she had this allergic reaction that was just a nightmare. She had to go on all kinds of antibiotics. The doctor had to slice it. I mean, her foot was a mess. The doctor said, you really need an EpiPen because each time you've gotten a bee sting, this is the second time, the reactions are getting worse and worse. And I'm afraid the next time your throat could close up. I said to my wife, we got to get an EpiPen. She goes, I'm not getting an EpiPen. I don't, like, she was like, it was like someone set off, like she can't, I don't know what it is with her, but she can't admit something's medically wrong.
Thank you, Josh Foster.
There's more to this clip, but this girl can't hear what he said there. She can't admit that there's something wrong with her.
I don't know what it is with her, but she can't admit something's medically wrong. I'm not getting an EpiPen. I go, but honey, you heard what the doctor said. The next time you could die because I can't pick you up and bring you to a hospital if we're out taking a walk somewhere. I mean, it could be a real problem. You got to get the EpiPen. I don't want it. Well, so we got an EpiPen, and now I carry it because she refuses to
because she was leaving
acknowledge
it at home.
He's going to carry it for her. She's like a little child. This is sick.
No, Josh Foster, he said EpiPen 12 times in that sentence. There's either some kind of what is that? Is that Tourette syndrome? or is he? There's got to be a product placement where he's mentioning. I mean, it was
100%. If you hear
my
a
favorite
brand name,
moment was. Remember when Beth? We played a clip of this, I guess, last year. My favorite moment with Beth was she actually screamed at him. She goes, "Oh my God, honey, stop saying fucking EpiPen! Stop saying it." That was when I thought she broke first.
well, I think you're onto something, John, because I think the dead giveaway is always when a caller or an email mentions something. That's always the setup, and then he goes on and his product name.
Mm-hmm.
And yes,
Keeping
Coach,
it at home. She was.
You're right.
You know, the EpiPen was at home, not with you.
Yeah. So then when we got the EpiPen, you're exactly right. It stayed at home, and I'm like, well, what fucking good? Well, I don't want to carry it. I'm hostile. I said, you have 4 pockets in those jeans. Why can't you carry? So now I'm carrying the EpiPen.
A normal person.
I'll even go up to Beth and I go, honey.
Sorry, go, John.
No, that's all I was going to say. As a normal person telling that story, if it was true, if it wasn't completely crowbarred in, instead of saying EpiPen, you say it once, but you would say it's
the pen,
after that.
The
you
pen,
you wouldn't over enunciate EpiPen. It has to be paid.
I think that's part of the trade out. He probably has to say it X amount of times.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it works. I know that's exactly how it works.
But do they need the money? Do they need this EpiPen?
You'd think he didn't.
It's the medical industry, bro.
Yeah, that's
they're
the
always
reason.
trying to get money.
Yep. And they know he's.
I'll even go up to Beth and I go,
he's such
honey,
a COVID
I have the
hysteric
EpiPen.
that he'll do anything.
He goes right into it here, John. You're gonna love this bit.
I'll even go up to Beth and I go, honey, I have the EpiPen. And she goes, don't say that. I don't want to know. I go, but the EpiPen is in my pocket.
Whoa.
Like, that makes her nuts. Like, she gets fucking crazy.
She is crazy. If she can't carry it in her purse or bag, and a pet, like she's like a little child, she's pretending she doesn't have a condition. Like, I had asthma when I was a kid, and I took an inhaler with me all through my life. All through, from like 6 years old, I had an inhaler in my pocket, and yeah, it stuck out, but I didn't care. She can't do anything.
The coach is right. The other word that annoyed me equally would be Peloton. Those are the two things that are in the category. That was the most annoying. Yeah,
that's the most. That one, Peloton.
Peloton might actually beat them. Yeah, it might actually win.
Well, how about that? And remember when he used to be into babysitter? You know what?
Yeah, babysitter porn. Right.
And he would always
you porn.
Like always, like, oh, I was on your board last night, Robin. Blah 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 blah. And it's just like, okay, bro, we get it. You're getting paid from these guys.
Ida Greenbacks, welcome, my dear, the sweetest woman in all of the internet. We talked about how toxic the internet can be in the Stern community. Ida Greenbacks is the very opposite of that. She's one of the sweetest women ever. I had an EpiPen in my desk at school for several decades. I only used it once on a student who was bitten by a bee, and that was Amber Heard. Baby really wasn't that big of a deal to use, and you know she's right. Has Ida ever steered us wrong?
Roomba is in that list, Pellel, and thank you, beloved chatter.
Or
Roomba's in there, yes.
What was it? The food service that Ray had to have help from with Beth last year? You know,
I forget.
Remember, it was like one of those. That was another one. Right there.
Metamucil's a good one. I love animals, and Lauren Marie.
It was.
Howard seems to love it when he and his wife have some kind of medical problem. He loves seeing a doctor all the time. I know. I've never blood tests and every 2 days colonoscopies. It is crazy. It never stops. When you get one of these things, how often do you get a blood test?
Thank you. It was Grubhub.
Mike White.
Grubhub. Do you
remember how preposterous that was?
Yeah.
You know, my mom called Beth because she was having problems with Grubhub, and she's an angel, and she got it all taken care of. It's like, bro,
David.
Really?
YouPorn thinks of Howard as like mainstream, so they love somebody in like commercial serious, giving them any plus. No matter how few listeners we think, they love.
You know the one they'll never hear from again, Ashley Madison. Remember
Yes.
That debacle, that complete. I mean, the Titanic was just a glancing blow compared to.
Well, it's the whole show cheats on their wives. It's perfect for them.
Yeah, and then they got. It was a scam. All the users' names got leaked online, so a lot of people getting divorced, and it's like, and it turned out there was literally like 2 actual women on the actual site, but they had like thousands of profiles of women that supposedly you had to pay to continue to talk to.
It was worse than the fappening.
That was, and
that was massive.
They gave a chunk of money to the Stern Show, bro. And Howard gleefully took it. And they used to have Noel Biederman, right, on the show all the freaking time. It's like, yeah, I'll sponsor it. Like if somebody was doing whatever, oh yeah, I'll sponsor it. Yeah, because he was fleecing the sucker clientele that he had.
Who wants to hear about Chris Wilding and Ralph? Come on, type 1 in the chat if you want to hear this clip. Okay, Chris and Ralph, they're still fighting, but Chris reveals something about Ralph that we have in common with him.
Chris knew
I reached out to you many times, Ralph. It never made anything better. It did leading up to the summer. And then you came on the air. Wait, let me just say one thing.
You came on the air and lied and twisted and tried to make you want to get on the air, and it's fine, Chris. That's you.
So
and I'm just not. I'm not going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Ralph. You're so desperate.
Hey, Ralph,
for
you want to know
going
something about
YouTube
Chris?
Shows over the summer.
Tell me.
Ralph was on a YouTube show over the summer?
Yeah, it had 63 viewers at its peak. It was great. Very exciting.
He's obsessed with me. It's weird.
You were announcing it on Instagram.
And he's also got these listen.
That was interesting. I don't know why it was interesting.
Bond, great. Bond, great clip. That's really good. I never thought like those two, and I kind of underestimated what that was. That tells a lot there. We always talk about how no one from the show affiliated with it is allowed to do anything in terms of podcasts. They're all air whores, right? They would be doing their own show. They'd never drop in because they're not allowed to. But somehow, what did Ralph do? Do we know what show it was?
No, but I'll find out.
And Ralph calls him
tomorrow.
an air
I'll
whore
find
there.
out.
That's a really good clip. That's really good. That's an organic. I thought it was going to be a fake fight that they contrived it. That was really good.
And
there's a lot in that.
Why do
there
you
was
think
a better.
that, Ralph doesn't do like a Geek Time podcast or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know what stop. Is he under the same edict that the rest of the staff is? Can he do? Can he go rogue and do whatever he wants?
Oh no! What else is he doing? You know.
I don't know. What is stopping him from doing?
You know what? If anything, Geek Time was actually somewhat entertaining. It actually filled the niche.
If someone who's not blocked by Ralph, seriously, write him a sincere tweet and say you love Geek Time, you miss it, you want it to come back. Why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you bring the band back, and why don't you dust off and do Geek Time as a podcast? And just see how he handles the question. If there's no way he'll admit to the Marcy edict or whatever, but just see how he'd handle it. Just be as nice as possible. Kill him with kindness. That was a really good clip, I underestimated it. Yeah.
There was I thought, even better one that kind of reminded me of the old Howard days and this happened in the last hour. They're talking about Ronnie's wedding, and it turned into a big thing where Fred got in a lot of trouble. Not a lot of trouble, but an awkward it could have been really good. And
by the way, I think Ralph is better on the air than Howard is now. And he has been for many years.
Probably, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but
he
doesn't say much, I know, but he is better.
I can throw a pass farther than John at this point. Come on.
But they're talking about how much money people are going to give Ronnie at his wedding, and then it shifts in a kind of a flashback to old Howard in that way. The wheel could spin and someone's going, what? So I thought it was interesting. But you're about to hear how much Howard will give Ronnie, which I thought was interesting too.
Mike, you're the right guy to ask. How much should I give Ronnie?
Ooh, you?
Yeah.
Well, you have such a long relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back a ways. Steve got what, 2,500? Was that the amount? So do the math. Steve's been here about 10 years. Ronnie's been around 30.
Well, you're generous with my money.
38.
You
asked me.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care.
Get it straight. 38, not 30.
Yeah,
38. 38.
Well, what do you want, Ronnie? Don't keep me guessing. Do you want?
No, I'm not. No. I told you how I feel.
Does $5,000 cover it?
We talked about this off the air, dude. I don't care.
Mike, is $5,000 cover it?
I would think that would be very generous and very nice of you to give $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money. Wolfie, are you guys going to think that's you're rolling your eyes?
Wolfie? Yeah, Wolfie's.
I'm not giving him more than $5,000.
No, I was thinking. No, I mean, I think that's a very appropriate gift. I mean, you love Ronnie.
Okay.
You've known him forever. I think that's generous.
What the fuck?
I need to break this clip up.
I'm not exactly.
What do you think of that?
I'm not exactly.
Good?
I'm not exactly Lou Dobbs over here, but isn't that a write-off in his 112 productions?
100%
with employees.
Oh,
If you do it on air, it's a write-off.
Yes, they
I
did it
don't
on air.
know.
Yes, that conversation alone, Howard made $8,000. Oh, my Neil Cavuto over here.
Classic arm.
That's
I've got your
David.
Remember that, John?
David wants to volunteer to go on Grindr, undercover David. David Brasco with Chris Wilding in New York. That's really funny.
Oh, you're willing to do that, David? Wow, man.
Team.
Hollywood economics is very subjective. I have a friend who's an accountant and for various production companies. And literally the second you sit down, you go, "Hey, how's everything on set today?" "Good." "Okay, right off."
Wow.
Like no joke. We were in New York once and the bill was like 4 G's and the head person of the production just gets the bill, throws it at my friend, goes, "Make this disappear."
Oh my God.
Like that.
Jesus.
When you said G's, I haven't heard G's since Artie Lang. That takes me back and made me
No,
nostalgic.
it was 4 G's for the dinner for a bunch of
Hey, Autobot,
$5 grand.
Jack Tunney, the WWF commissioner. Jack Tunney.
Now the wheel spins. This is where it gets interesting in my mind.
Now Robin's got to give 5.
I don't necessarily match you all the time.
All right. What are you going to give, Robin?
I haven't decided yet.
Come on, help me out here. Don't go 5 because then I look bad.
No, I'm not going to go 5.
Okay.
I
Good.
told you I don't do that to you. I let you shine.
Oh,
you're a sweetheart. Get over here.
All right.
Fred, what are you giving?
This is great.
I might give him at least 75.
No, seriously, what are you going to give Ronnie? You're not going to the wedding.
Wait. Hey, hold on.
Now, pop quiz. How much do you think Fred will give Ronnie before it happens? And don't.
Well,
don't,
without hearing it, and we've gone over this, and I will maybe tomorrow. Fred is such an unnecessarily prickly mental patient when it comes to all things this or social. It's going to be not simple. He's going to have some problem with an accountant or a check. He cannot give a straight answer in regards to money. Remember the shit with Will Murray and my accountant has to give a check. He's such a fucking Martian.
You're right and you're wrong. He does give a number, so I want you to. Don't look at the chat, guys. Xavier,
I'm not.
Just
I'm not.
off the top of your
say
head.
he gives Ronnie $1,000 for every actor his wife has tongued.
Oh shit, that's pretty creative. That's a good one. John, give me a number?
Well, first of all, the great Chaka Khan's right. You can give Ronnie 500 grand. It wouldn't matter one. He wouldn't miss one. Fucking, he's that rich. I'll give a number and I'll say $2,000.
Okay, here's the answer.
Hey, hold on a sec. You want to hear what Fred gave? I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
Fred
he knows.
gave.
He probably knows.
Fred sent me back the response card saying, he couldn't attend.
Right.
And he
course
sent me
not.
a blank check.
A blank check?
He sent me a blank check with and it wasn't signed. So what am I supposed to do with it?
Oh, that's
Have a
weird.
party, Ron.
Fred, what are you thinking? I mean, what kind of obnoxious thing is that?
I didn't do that. He's joking with you.
I believe Ronnie.
Oh.
That.
Fred.
Yes, sir.
So you're not, of course you're not, you don't go anywhere.
I'm not going there. No.
Right.
Plus,
I know
and I was right. It's turning into like the Queen's wedding. It's got over 200 people, right?
No, it's
He's
under
at
200.
170.
Yeah,
now.
and it's also turned into like a 4-day event.
I'm
How
telling you,
much
that's
did
what he
you
gave
send?
me.
I'm going to match Fred. What did you give?
Well, then you're going to be off the hook pretty easily. I gave
What
him
did you
5,
give?
but I did not give him 5,000.
Oh, you gave him 500, huh?
Correct.
That's
And
a
I think
nice gift.
And I think that's appropriate.
Oh, that's fucked up, I have to say.
Fred's a 7-figure guy. And Tamara Francois, you talk about high class. She is spot on. This is the personification of white trash, low class discussion that you even bring these numbers up. This is white people shit, Tamara. You are absolutely right. This is so. I mean, Xavier just said it's so to bring it up is so Howard can write it off.
$500.
You know what? You know what the right answer is, bro. You're like 80 years old. The F I'm going to give you a cent for a wedding. I mean, it's essentially like a Patty Hearst situation here, where you're just giving ransom money to release the hostage. Come on.
But I mean, Howard's going to give him $5, and Fred $500.
Man's like 80 years old. He's getting
Thank you,
married at 80.
Kilo.
I know.
I mean,
really?
It's sick, and this gets very strange because he sent this blank check, and then this is great. We get Allison. He gets Allison in. Oh, not Allison. Stephanie. I'm sorry. Ronnie gets Stephanie to claim.
Wait, did
happened.
he give Steve Nowicki the same amount of money as Ronnie? He's known Ronnie
No,
for how long?
he said three something.
Even
it's
so.
2.5 for Steve. I think he said there. So he's giving
Huh? What?
The whole
Dude, it was a blank check with no signature.
That can't be.
What do you mean it can't be?
Okay. I can't believe that I did that, but
dude,
are you
Freddie,
sure it was for me?
Are you serious?
I believe
Yeah, I'm
Ronnie.
serious.
Dude, you better go back and check your checkbook because
like I have one.
You don't have a
What
checkbook?
is he
I have a
such a-
checkbook, but I
so
don't keep
weird?
records of that shit. I write so infrequently. I write a check. You know what?
well,
I'll
you
tell
didn't
what.
write, dude. You
I
didn't
tell you
write
what.
anything.
Take a picture of that and send it to me.
No, I thought it was a joke. I threw it in the garbage.
Oh, okay.
Fred,
Yeah.
you don't know. Wait a second. Do you got the Alzheimer?
No, sir.
Because
I don't keep. I write so checks.
I'm totally serious about this.
Really?
Can I say something, Ronnie? Either you have dementia or Fred has dementia. One of
You
you.
want to ask Stephanie? I'll bring her in.
Then what I'll do is I'll send him another $5. But if I end up getting double
He has to
charged
be.
for that, I'm
He
coming
knows
after
exactly
you.
what he did.
I don't know if I even did that.
Isn't this crazy? Do you get what I said about
Yeah,
the
yeah.
energy? It feels
Definitely.
kind of like almost old Stern.
No question about it. And Fred is so weird. Remember with Will Murray's wedding, and then we had the thing with the guy at IKEA. We have caught Fred. I believe Ronnie 100% during this. Not that this is very important. Let's not forget Ronnie's retired at 75, and the great Chaka Khan says, "You really don't." This is for someone to start a family with, right? Aren't wedding gifts like for typically
100%.
when you're starting out? You're not 85 years old asking for wedding
1,000,000%.
gifts. Pocket change, right?
You give someone a little, here you go. Go start a family, whatever. This is absolutely the most ridiculous thing ever.
David's right about Ronnie's voice. The projection's gone, right? He can't enunciate. He's sort of just like lost all sorts of. He can't. She just has no business being on air anymore. By the way, didn't we talk about how that Ronnie should leverage himself and not talk about his wedding unless he gets a raise because it's going to take up 50%. Well, it would take up 50%. Howard has no show if he doesn't crutch on this Ronnie crap. So I would just hold out personal information. You first. You talk about your grandkid.
yeah.
I'll talk about my wedding. You talk about Deborah's kid. I'll talk about my wedding.
They already have a deal.
I'd love to know what it is. I would love to know
what
Ronnie,
it is.
There's no one's
that money
contract I want to see more than Ronnie's right now. I know I said I don't want to talk about him. This is one thing I want to know. I want to know what his contract is on the show.
Yeah.
Can we talk about John's instinct, though? John said at the start, he said, I bet you there's something wrong with an accountant or something.
Yes, yeah,
spot
always.
on. A blank check.
Dude, it's true.
I'll have to
you
ask
want me
my
to get
wife.
Stephanie in here? I'll get her.
Yeah,
Okay.
get Stephanie in here. I mean,
Where's Stephanie? I gotta know that this.
Fred, this concerns me.
It concerns me too.
This is the
I want a
strangest
blank
thing.
check to Ronnie.
He didn't send a blank check, right?
I'll ask her. Stephanie, hey, what's happening?
Hi, Steph. You look great.
Could you describe for us
Oh, cutie.
what you received from Fred as a wedding gift?
A blank check.
Wow.
With no signature.
Wow.
Wow.
We
Wow. What?
laughed. We thought it was a joke.
Fred swears he sent you $500.
I'm texting my wife now. I gotta now. This is driving me nuts.
Good.
Anyway, to cut a long story short, his wife forgot she was going to write it. So she just forgot and stuck it in the envelope and sent it. So still, I like the energy. Something actually happened.
No, definitely. I agree. One of the commonalities, the monofilament running through the Buchwald organization is you have to be a professional victim and you have to be, they're all serial liars. Fred is a huge liar. I don't think he gets nearly enough called out on the lie. Every time I play an old school clip of him, he's lying, and they catch him, and he can't hamana out of it, and he'll get ultra aggressive, or try to turn into like a fake tough guy. Yeah, and he lies all the time. You can't take anything he says. Who has anyone in this chat? Has anyone here ever given a check with no signature on it or a number? Have you? How
Never.
mentally ill do you have to be? You were catatonic to do that. The lowest among us, the densest among us. Has anyone ever done that?
No.
What is that move?
Usually hookers insist on the little thumbprint.
But Allison's out of her mind, probably having to be married to him.
We don't
So-
realize how crazy she is. We don't hear enough of
Don't
her.
they
We
move
don't
like
ever
every
see
5
her.
minutes to like a more expensive
Yes,
place?
that's the other thing. They move all the time. Right.
Yeah. And his daughter's got to be in college at this point, right?
Tess is, I believe, 20. So it's
Yeah,
right about
so there
time
you go.
for-
So you know that money is going like in one hand, out the other.
Cleaning out the computer.
Benjamin goes, we don't do enough on Fred. We really need to do another Fred show. That really motivated me, that last clip. I really think we need to do that stat. Fuck these daily shows. We need to do a fucking Fred show.
Right.
Stat.
Yes. Your
uh,
Fred show,
Benjamin-
your Fred stuff was incredible. Those shows, the Robin one, the Fred one, the Gary one, the first one, freaking awesome shows.
I love him too. There's our 9/11 hero, Casey Armstrong. Casey, we fell in love with you all over again. Casey, we asked this question: who has an easier job, Fred? Who has the easiest job in the Stern Show, Fred or Robin? And does Fred have the easiest job according to Tracy Millman and Kathy Tobin? Would you say Fred has the easiest job on the Stern Show and in the history of the Stern Show? Give me Fred's work week, if you would. Write it out from what you remember, what you can recollect.
Fuck, I should have got him on the show today.
On
I could
Amazon.
have easily. You want to come on tomorrow, Casey? You're welcome if you want.
He's got his own show. though.
I know, but
He's a busy man.
sometimes-
Robin, there you go.
Yeah,
There's an
You know, I was
honest
saying
man.
this. I wrote in the Discord thread about Casey and sort of, if you know everybody the picking at the Stuttering John carcass and everybody is, you know, and it's just one drafting on. If anyone has primacy to do it, it's him. He worked with the guy for 7 years. He knows him better than anyone. If anyone has first dibs on the Stuttering John and Freud, it's Casey. No one else should. He gets first dibs. He should go to him, and we shouldn't. There's no
Absolutely.
bandwagon. He worked with him for 7 years. He started it.
Yeah.
Fred wrote on Lotus Notes. That was the extent of his day. So he would.
Come on, Bon Jovi, turn it up.
Wanna roll in the hay? Who you gonna call? Casey Armstrong. When you need some bud, wanna bust a nut? Who can you call? Casey Armstrong. I ain't homophobic. I ain't homophobic.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren Marie.
Always appreciate it.
I agree. I cannot wait to do a Fred show, Lauren. Appreciate all the support of the Deepening and here and all over. We're lucky to have each and every one of you in the chat, and great job tonight, chat as a whole.
Per
Shuli says,
usual.
per usual. John Doe says Fred and Vanna White are the two luckiest people in show business. So Casey says that Fred's job, his main, his first is really Lotus Notes. So just jotting shit down on Lotus Notes, and that's really like the number one thing. And that's it. That's what he does. Did you guys think when Artie, when Artie left the show in December of 2009, you thought, oh, I guess Fred's going to step it up. He got more mute when Artie left. There was no filling that void, and that's when the dead air started. When you would see this, they would do a setup, and there would just be this 8-second dud of nothing, and that's where Artie went, and Fred felt no obligation to fill that time. Fred writes a lot of stuff. What is he writing now, Jeremy Harrelson? What is he writing now? I always say this shit's written. This is not. If you're writing this garbage, this dreck out, he's even worse than I thought. Fred writes a lot of stuff.
You're making me feel like I got a vagina.
You know why? Because Fred's like the Morton Anderson of the Stern Show. He's going to
wishes.
be around for a long time. He's going to do one thing, kick it, and that's it. Give me a check.
At least Morton Anderson decided a game or two in his life. Fred decides nothing.
Yeah, they ain't gonna
Nothing
happen.
hinges on him.
Thank you, Casey. But no, that's who he is. He's not going to f up his money. He's not gonna do anything that's gonna change anything, and he's just gonna sit there, kick off, field goal. Thank you.
So Casey says Howard would say Fred Jackie after a show, after an idea was approved. Casey, do you have any screenshots of Lotus Notes? We almost named this show. We had that thread I posted where I said we were going to rename Radio Gunk with all these different things. And one of the Lotus Notes would have been a great name for the show. I mean, I don't know if it gets any better than that. That's the thread that McDowell stole, that QF show from my thread. That stole that title for that knockoff
Bastard.
Show. Satellite radio.
Those guys are like the Todd Moranovich of the Stern universe.
Satellite radio wasn't the escape from censorship, says Aaron Taylor. It was the escape from quality standards. No audience tracking. Fred knows they have cash for life. F the dog and the kittens for a job. You're absolutely right, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Go ahead, Mom. I'm sorry.
Do you want to crack through the computer with the Gary Puppet sends Howard's MOEN sync to King of All Blacks? Is that
okay? I gotta set that up a little bit. We played this when we first. God, this could have been 2 or 3 years from now. So Gary Puppet's thing, and we talked about Gary Puppet at the beginning of the show. He's really like the GOAT Howard troll, Twitter troll. And one of the things he does is, so what got excavated once was this real estate agent found pictures inside 17 Squabble Lane of pictures of the foyer, the bathroom, bedrooms, and those pictures made the round. So Gary Puppet is the one who found them, and he started to send them to everybody in the Stern adjacent Kaplan orbit. And one of the people he sent it to was ingenious, was King of All Blacks, who calls in every day, and he figured that he's so obsessed with things and mowing faucets and opulence, perfect word, that he eventually would bring that up to Howard on the air, and he in fact does right here, thanks to Gary Puppet sending him the picture. And so Howard gets homina homina.
I do have to move to news now.
Bon, can you raise the volume, please?
Mm-hmm. But I saw some sink that they said was yours, a sink.
A sink?
A sink? Yo, it was supposedly in your house.
Oh, get out of here. All right. Thank you, King. Good. I don't want to talk about my sink. I'm like Rasan. I don't want to talk. Thank you, King.
He respects his sink.
Right.
He doesn't talk about it with
Rasan, thank you. Congratulations on your marriage.
That's great.
So I'll say it again.
Nice.
I don't know if anyone's clear on that. Gary Puppet sent pictures of Howard's actual house to everybody from the show. And he rolled the dice on the fact that King of All Blacks would bring it up on the air, and he just did it. And you could see how rattled Howard is. Anything opulence, everything about that 1%er lifestyle drives him. He cannot deal with it. The only thing that would, ironically, would be the only thing to make this show interesting is if he owned up to the 1%er life.
Yeah, you know what? And I think Gary single-handedly is responsible, Gary Puppet, that is, for every time someone has asked him about his bowling alley and stuff like that. It's like, because he literally, he scud bombed the Sterniverse, and eventually all that information found its way to the people that needed to know.
Yeah, I mean, good point, Black Guy. You remember, Howard actually made the company take the photos down. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
that's how it was you, Xavier, that you said, and I didn't realize you actually made me hip to the term, and I never forget, is retainer lawyers. And that's Howard's, what we talk about with Trump right now. Howard has a team of, and maybe Casey has insight on this, retainer lawyers that just are constantly working to clean up things, and that's one of the things they go after. That's why shit gets taken down on YouTube so easily. So I remember one of my 15 channels that got taken down, the first one said it was so creepy. I went into the takedown, and so you can read like who says it. It said Jimmy Kimmel Productions took down a Howard video. So Howard used Jimmy Kimmel's production company to threaten YouTube to take my video down of him.
Wow.
Isn't that creepy? I think I have a screenshot. I think I have a screenshot hovering around somewhere.
This show's probably already been taken down.
I know. Retainer lawyers. That's a really key phrase to how Howard operates, and that's what he did to go after that real estate person to take those pictures down. They're always on.
Should we go to the Gary Puppet Twitter stuff with the image from Twitter?
Is it the
video?
Stamos one or the? Is it what's the title of it?
I gotta tell you, on that Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I
So-
sandwiched them. I stuck them together.
Howard goes on Letterman, and John Stamos kisses his ass, and Stamos is like a Rickles groupie. He's one of the Johnny Depp does this too. They latch on to Don Rickles, like two great looking guys, and I have comedy chops, and I love Don Rickles because I grew up watching him, and so they both befriended Don Rickles. Stamos formed like this really close friendship with him. He was like almost creepily attached to him, and he brought him onto the show and stuff. And I'm not saying Stamos isn't a nice guy. He probably is very much a nice guy. I don't hate Stamos at all. He's good for what he does. He's made the most out of the opportunities given, whatever. So Stamos tweets, "Oh my God, Howard Stern on David Letterman's like the closest we're going to ever get to Don Rickles' talk show appearance." So Gary Puppet sees this and just starts pummeling him on Twitter about, "Are you kidding me?" And then Howard read his Twitter feed and then comments on Gary Puppet.
I gotta tell you, on that Twitter, I stopped going on all weekend. I didn't go on because people criticize everything.
You're right.
Oh, Bon, can you pause it?
I think they're jealous.
Was this taken from a vinyl record or?
Sorry. No, it's just been copied so many times.
No, I know. I get it.
This is the actual tweet is on the screen right now. If you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to see it. So it's the real tweet. I had it screenshotted. Gary Puppet writes, "Are you kidding me, John Stamos? The next Don Rickles? Why would you say that? Does Howard have pictures of your big cock in your mouth?" And so Howard gets this.
I don't know. Why they can call in too?
I know. That's why I think it's crazy.
That's Tommy from Malden.
You're
by the way.
ready to judge. Who's prettier, James from John Barbados or John Stamos? Okay, so who's prettier, James or John?
John is more manly.
Yeah.
Because, he's Greek and he's got that darker skin and he has he's got facial hair.
Swarthy.
John's hot. Oops. And by the way, so John Stamos, this is what gets me with Twitter, and this is why I'm off it. Maybe one day I'll go back to it. I'm not like removing my account, but
You're not dumping it. You're just going to stop going on and boycott for a while.
Like if I tell people, "Oh, hey, I'm on David Letterman tonight," then they write back. Then they all just write, "Oh, all you want to do is promote yourself on here."
What?
Then if I tweet a picture of my wife, they say that my wife
this is great.
is my trophy wife, and why am I putting pictures of her up there?
Yeah.
Why
Okay, I'm sorry. So
good?
we're actually brought up here. He doesn't say our name, but he brings up the website. And this is like one of the rare times that we come up. He doesn't say a name. He doesn't say PayPal. He doesn't say RadioGunk, but he brings up we have a website dedicated to how ugly my wife is, which is us. Clearly.
Trophy wife, and why am I putting pictures of her up there? Why can't? What am I trying to prove? And then they start websites devoted to how ugly my wife is.
Oh God!
Yeah, I mean, it's like wow, it's like
the website.
Yeah, it's like it's so vicious. It's like wow, we really, and they say they're my fans.
Well, these are people really with nothing to do.
Right, and then there were guys who go, "You motherfucking scumbag, you haven't been on the radio." I said, "Well, listen, so cancel the subscription if you don't. I mean, what's the big deal?"
Twitter's a good thing.
I don't know either. It's too much access to people. Okay.
Thick skin.
Yeah, I don't have a thick skin. I'll be honest with you. And so here's an example. Stamos gets on there and goes, "I just watched Howard Stern on Letterman, and he's the heir apparent to Don Rickles. He enjoyed my appearance on Letterman." So then I look underneath the comment, and it's like, "Fuck Stern, he's old, he's irrelevant, fuck you, you fucking asshole, suck ass, kiss ass." I was like, oh my God. Like, that was the nicest thing anyone could say to me, because Don Rickles, to me, is the greatest talk show guest of all time. It's like you get bullied on there.
Right. And, there's this anti-bullying campaign, but you go on Twitter, everybody gets bullied.
God. It reminded me of, I grew up in a tough, it's like relentless. Reminded me of like being bullied. You have to go down there and fight. Well, you fucking asshole. What are you, wah with your dog? Fuck you. There are people in this world. I'm like, whoa, sorry I shared. You
He paints himself as a victim, so
always
well.
a victim. Always a victim.
Great clip, John. Great.
And that's Gary Puppet. That's Gary Puppet forced him off Twitter a few times. That's 100%. You saw the tweet. It's utterly connected. That's my receipt for it. That's clearly him. There's nothing about it that's conjecturing or speculating. That's Gary Puppet doing that. That's how many times now. And I'm sure I've missed a few out there that he's been brought up, but that's enough. That's quite a few haymakers in his day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were saying in this. Yeah, I forget who it was. Yeah, Stamos is definitely pretty privileged, but at least what I do like about him is he acknowledges it and he's aware of it. He's self-aware. I've never heard a bad word about anyone who's interact. He's not very talented as far as an actor goes, but he does the most with, he seems like a really nice guy.
I love this one, John. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Rogan. This is really good. This is one of the Buckwald PR machine where they sent this out to all the things, and this is Howard railing against Aaron Rodgers' ivermectin Joe Rogan appearance. But what he's really doing is he backwardly loves that Aaron Rodgers doing because he wants to stay home. So he backwardly likes that Aaron Rodgers did because his big fantasy is that another COVID hysteria breaks out and he just gets to do this all over again.
Worked up over the weekend about this fucking Aaron Rodgers of the NFL. I don't even know where to begin with that story. I mean, this fucking guy, if I ran the NFL, I would throw this guy out of the football
Howie
league
Brass
so
going full
fast.
effect
What
here.
he did to his fellow teammates, really, that whole bullshit game. Yeah, I have the antibodies. Press conference, he said he got his information from Joe Rogan.
Why would you go to Joe Rogan with a medical problem? This is a guy who wanted to be the host of Jeopardy to prove that he's a football player and he's smart.
But he didn't do a bad job as a host of Jeopardy, which actually surprised me because,
basically it's reading, and maybe somebody's in his ear telling him what to say. I don't know.
So until now, everybody assumed that this fucking asshole was
Hey, Bon?
vaccinated because he answered the question.
Hey, this is a compliment to you, and I think it can't be a coincidence that every time it blips like that. Did you FX? Did you AMC? Did you basic cable all the cursing in this?
Yeah.
Clip? Oh,
Yeah.
good job. That's really good. Because it's effective, and I always thought that all the networks should do that. They should bleep it just like that. You're cursing, and you get away with it, and the broadcast standards and practices you would get around it. That's a really good job you did there. Excellent.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yep.
Vaccinated because he answered the question back in August like this.
Are you vaccinated, and what's your stance on vaccinations?
Yeah, I've been immunized.
I'm immunized.
There's a lot of conversation around it around the league, and I think it's a personal decision. I'm not going to judge those guys.
So he doesn't seem to understand why people are upset with him. This guy was lying, and he's putting other people's health at risk. He's a fucking liar, and he could have destroyed a lot of people. I see
Bon,
Andy
that's
Black's
really
on the phone.
good.
He's anti-vax.
Hey, now, old friend. And now, 4 months later, you can't have
This
a
is
job
Rappaport.
if you don't get a shot. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's
No, I'm sorry. Bon, can you pause it?
Yep.
So that's everybody remember
King, isn't it?
Angry Angry Black.
Oh,
Does
it's
anyone
Angry,
remember
sorry.
Angry Black? I haven't
Yeah.
heard him on the show in years. So he calls and he's almost like who's that broad? Candace Owens. He's almost like a right-wing black guy, which is really kind of strange. And he's kind of doing this thing and Howard kind of lets him. He's very meek about doing it, but he kind of comes in and I've been vaccinated 4 times, so I'm not going to pretend. But do you think Howard has any concern for your or my well-being in any way, shape, or form? Zero.
No,
Zero.
yeah.
That's what bothers me the most
So-
about this. His
so
intentions-
transparent.
Yes.
Once you realize it, like you listen to RadioGunk or something, then you realize, and then you just go, "Oh my god, the whole house of cards just falls
He
apart."
wants us all to drop his dream is we all drop dead, and he's left standing at Squabble Lane.
Absolutely.
And he's
That's what he
putting
really
other
wants.
people's health at risk. He's a fucking liar, and he could have destroyed a lot of people. I see Angry Black's on the phone. He's anti-vax.
Hey, now, old friend. And now, 4 months later, you can't have a job if you don't get a shot. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's fair.
You're going to take away somebody's livelihood?
Yes, we're talking about life and death here. Yeah, of course. This isn't some game we're playing. The people are dropping dead.
You care.
I do my part by not coughing on nobody and sneezing.
I got to get out of this. I don't want to spend the whole show on this.
Yeah, because you're talking to Aaron Rodgers right now.
The dude's a dumbass football player.
Like you're listening to, these vaccines may cause you some side effects.
Went into how the vaccine isn't all that effective. Anyway, doesn't work because people are still getting COVID. He's so fucking dumb. We
Like I said, everybody's jersey should say, we're with stupid on that team when he's on the field.
And still get it because of idiots like fucking Aaron Rodgers.
Now he's a lawyer and a doctor giving you all these facts.
And he's consulting with Dr. Joe Rogan, too.
I consulted with a now good friend of mine, Joe Rogan, after he got COVID, and I've been doing a lot of the stuff that he recommended.
This is insane.
It is crazy.
For him to talk about a talk show radio host consulting. I mean, I don't even know much about Joe, but I know that he is not qualified.
Well, Aaron Rodgers he's super arrogant. And he's a genius. He's an absolute NFL genius. He almost has an NFL cheat code for when he played Bond. He would have games where he would be like 33 for 38 for 380 yards and 4 touchdowns and no one touches him. He's a genius. He's an NFL. He's great at what he does. But he's taking it. He thinks that genius. Yeah. Right. He thinks that genius translates to science, and it doesn't. And that's where he's going here. But if you think Howard gives a shit about you or I, you are crazy. Like Autobot, that's brilliant. Howard's like Burgess Meredith. He wants everyone to be the last man on earth because that's what he really wants in the end. I got to agree with Son of Overbrook.
Podcast.
Your edits are brilliant on those curses. That it's so good.
So you guys saying that
that's so
Howard
good.
is Henry Beamish in the Twilight Zone?
Here we go, Jeremy. Narcissism. Yeah, man.
A lot of the stuff that he recommended in his podcasts. And
why wouldn't you do what a doctor recommends? I say the next time this fuckhead gets injured on the field, they should bring in Joe Rogan to fix the bones. They should have him treat him. He's the only doctor they should have treat.
When he has to go through that concussion protocol, send him to Joe.
Yeah.
Do you remember Casey's brilliant rant yesterday about how who cares what a Danny White kicker, punter, quarterback from Western Kentucky thinks about 9/11? This is the same thing with Aaron Rodgers and COVID. Like Casey said that about himself, self-deprecatingly. This is the same thing as Aaron Rodgers and ivermectin and COVID. But it's Howard being jealous of Joe Rogan in a way because he got major. That underlies it as well. So don't think any of this is altruistic or he cares about you or I or humanitarian-esque. It's the opposite.
I love this. I love the title for this next clip. This is kind of John's classic titles that he used to do. Howard uses Ralph Apport to defend New York Post article. To give us the lowdown.
We should say we brought up Jimmy Fallon yesterday. So everybody knows this Jimmy Fallon stuff that's going on now. And Xavier, obviously you're familiar with this as well. So he's got this sort of Mr. Nice Guy kind of ridiculously, ebullient, Pollyanna bullshit he does where he loves everyone and everyone's to that Paris Hilton thing I saw at 2:00 in the morning. I'll never forget that. Oh my God, Paris Hilton, you're the best. I'm like, this guy's the worst. That's when I've always hated him, but that was a whole other level. And something is underlying it. There is a crazy man, psycho, ass-kissing maniac underneath it. And that's what his staff is now exposing, that he's showing up drunk and in his route to ass kiss, he just abuses and you don't know what Fallon you're getting. And it's such a dumb show and it could be so much easier than it is. And he has this weird Lorne Michaels immunity. The guy should have been fired from Saturday Night Live the first year when he broke more characters in a Burger King placemat. And he's just the worst. And here he goes. He is a talk show. He's doing update. He gets all these things he doesn't deserve. And finally, he's being exposed. And it's like, James Corden and Letterman had his thing. And who are his influences? Like Howard and Dan Schneider. And so this is the piece that Howard got last year that he couldn't avoid. And so he used Ralph and Michael Rappaport to bring it as he tries to address it meekly. Like he's not affected by it.
After that rant, I've got to do it.
I got to say, Dorian Morgan beat me there. Obsequious is the word. Obsequious is the perfect Jimmy Fallon.
Obsequious.
I don't even know what that means.
It means just an ass kisser, just a relentless, sickening ass kisser.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Here it is.
I can tell you, in all honesty, what the media reports is a nightmare because I don't make near that. In fact, today I got to get somebody to fix my oven. And I'm like, well, they're probably going to charge me $200 million.
That's right.
Vaughn, can you pause it?
How many times has he used that line? It's a plumber or a...
Not only that, Bon, yes, and it's a great stop by you. But this is what we're saying about the medical stuff with the colonoscopies and the prostate checks every 2 days and the blood tests. Have you, X, you're an electronics geek, and Bon, you are too in technological way. And I try to be, but I just can't. I'm stuck with my Commodore 64. Have you ever met anybody in Howard's weight class in terms of money that has that much oven problems and TVs that don't work?
The TV is huge.
Heaters that don't work.
He's an
the
idiot.
TV's weird.
The day when he got his projector and he had it encase the thing in the wall, so it would, back then, you know, no one had the laser projectors. Everything was these like old-fashioned bulbs that generate like 1 billion degrees of heat. The fact that he was too stupid enough to do that, and everybody said, "Ooh, more money. Sure, let's do it." And the guy is a freaking idiot. So I believe that he buys nothing but jalopies and lemons all the time because they just upsell him because he's a freaking idiot. But on the same vein, he has an assistant that takes care of all that for him, or Beth might. Who knows? She's basically an assistant.
Either he's lying, either he's straight.
He would never know
lying.
anything about. And with his paycheck, he would never notice it financially.
Right. But either he's straight up lying, or he can't deal with, as the great Chaka Khan said, that Beth's the house manager. He can't deal with actually speaking to people to address the problem, that it just goes on. But I really don't believe that anyone with that kind of access and money, all these people, you know, he gives his geek time and Gadget Gary telling that he has anything. Like you said, lemons. Everything he has. It's heating systems, it's televisions, and now, you know, nothing works with him. And I think it's bullshit. But, fake story for the air.
2 years in Luhu. 2 years.
We have seen what his taste in furniture is. We've got a little peep. You know, they opened the door and they closed it. We got a little peek inside. That guy is reminiscent of Michael Jackson going down.
Oh yeah, yeah. Michael Jackson and Howard is the greatest comparison.
Just because it's expensive. So 100% people are just going to sell him the crappiest thing at the highest price. And he's just going to be like, "Oh, I deserve this." So, yeah, I believe that all the crap he buys breaks.
I think Howard makes Michael Jackson look like Vinny Favale. I think Michael Jackson is more normal than Howard. I honestly think that he is more of a common man than Howard is. I honestly think Howard is more out of touch than Michael Jackson is.
At least Michael went out, you know?
Yes.
Sure, he was throwing water balloons at homeless people at 3 a.m, but he went out.
Thank you, Ida Greenbacks. We love you incessantly. Great to see you back in. This is for Benjamin. He's been very funny.
This is for Benjamin? What?
Benjamin in the chat.
It's getting confusing.
Thank you, Benjamin, for being funny.
Benjamin's getting awards now.
Hey,
all right.
We'll take it.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
More Benjamins than a Hughes Brothers screenplay.
Someone sent us a blank check like Fred. I have a new Astro.
More articles out now about what a scumbag I am, what a bad guy I am. It generates even this weird energy around me of jealousy, and I'm a douche, and I'm like, oh my God. I almost didn't want to re-sign because they're going to start making this about how much money I make.
Can you raise a little bit?
And,
well, let me just
no, I'm uptight. I'm uptight talking about money.
But let me,
That's
but
rap.
You know what, Howard? You shouldn't. I mean, you shouldn't complain how much you made. But all the athletes deserve all the money they're fucking gonna pay you. You created this fucking Sirius XM, and people that worry or question or why should you make the money and what you do with the money, whether you give enough to check, tell them to suck your fucking your Hanukkah dick. That's not what nobody's.
Hey now, hey.
Okay, Ralph calls in.
Ralph's on hold. They're all lined up to.
This is good. I'm liking this.
Hey now, hey. Without mentioning names or anything, I just feel so bad for you when I read these articles and people discussing your money. money and these angry people, these incompetents, drug addicts, people you gave incredible opportunity to.
This is about Brent, isn't it?
Well, yes, Brent and
Yeah.
Artie. So it's the two of them. Yeah. It could be Artie, it could be Brent.
People discussing your money and these angry people, these incompetents, drug addicts, people you gave incredible opportunity to. It makes my head explode. How do you just not want to? I mean, I'm sure you do.
Oh,
but you don't
please.
say
Okay,
anything.
listen, in any organization, there are people who are disgruntled, and that's their problem. They
Howard
have
acts
to
like
live
he's
with it.
cavalier about it.
I'm not going to sit and discuss.
Howard plays the straight.
Uh-oh. Did I freeze?
What happened?
Bond, did you cut out on us? I think Bond cut out on us. He has control to come back in. Yeah, Howard acts more cavalier than Brad Daugherty in that. He's been itching. He has this scripted and prepared. He had Ralph on pretending that this is all bullshit. I don't know if that clip, I hope people heard that. We played it on here once. It doesn't get nearly enough traction. But there's a huge article. It was about, what would you say, X, about a year and a half ago? A year ago?
Which one?
The Howard, the piece on Howard. It was Stuttering John, it was Goodstein, it was Grillo, it was basically all the people you saw in the Vice piece got together and they wrote an article with the New York. I think it was Maureen Callahan.
Yes.
And they wrote, and they kind of, really hit the bullet points of clearing the hallways, and Scott Salem was brought up in it. So all the things that he couldn't, he couldn't backfill because it was all there for everybody to see. I think Scott Salem had just gotten fired after that was written.
Yeah, it's just he's painted himself into a corner. He can no longer comment on his own legacy at this point.
Sorry,
Fine, where were you on that?
Kicked
That's
right
okay.
off then. Here it is.
That's not the person you are.
Is this where we were up to?
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off. That's not the person you are. And people read that and they think that. And that just pisses me off.
People, who cares?
And
Ralph has everything to gain, by the way. I mean, we know we talk about this all the time, but he's on the 112 plan, and he is very, very much taken care of.
It's really weird.
That's
The
part
other
of the
day,
job.
the New York Post wrote an article about I'm a scumbag, because I'm.
There's a toxic environment here. I'm really distinct from it.
Horrible.
It's so terrible. Everyone who works for me is
terrible time here every day.
By the way, I can't get rid of anybody. Everybody's been here like 40 years. That's how toxic it is. But I laugh because
that's funny.
Then I laugh because on the next page it was Howard Stern could be making millions of dollars with his paintings. I was like. Oh, Ralph, don't worry about it. I don't even care.
It's okay.
I'm so beyond it. It's okay. I mean, I really mean it.
Friend who, well, I really mean it too. It does bother me, and I know that's not who you are. It disgusts me, and fuck them.
Yeah,
fucking idiots.
Listen, they got to sell newspapers. What do I care? All right, Ralphie.
The thing that's really amazing, every time they do any of this stuff, it's the same list of people. With the same.
Who, Robin? Who? What people? Who?
They're not, it's fine. It's fine. I don't give a fuck. Nobody's a loser.
Yeah, you do.
If you recall, this was the last day of the year, the last show of the year. So he did
That's
this and
exactly
just walked out the door. It was like at the end of the show, I think.
Yes.
And Marianne called in after it or something like that.
That's exactly
and then he just ran away, though. He's not afraid, but he ran off to the freaking Hamptons.
But it was right after like the Ellen stuff and James Corden and over again. And he spent quite a bit of time, preaching to everybody about how how much time did he spend on going after Letterman for preying on interns and PAs? Right. So now he's at the center of it. It was such a glorious thing. We loved it so much. I think that was Maureen Callahan, right? Who did that piece?
Yes. You're doing it again, John. This is why people are getting the very best with John, the cleaning out the computer man. This is unprecedented.
Well, I think that's a clip that we can't play enough of. I think if you didn't hear it, you just can't hear it enough. Like that was him punch drunk, and they all got together and they gave it to him. And Jeremy Harrelson says the guy who sells X. Yeah, when Howard says Howard's big tell is when he goes, I don't even care. I don't give it a shit. I don't give it one thought. That's when you really do care the most. You don't have to tell us you care when you care the most. Outside of a small circle of celebrities, the world hates you, Howard. Come to terms with it. Agreed, Alexander III. Is there another clip on that, or Is that it
That's
on
the
that?
third. That was 3. And the last clip of today, I mean, is perfect. I mean, Drew Barrymore. I mean, how dare
Well, that
he attack
ties in with
Drew Barrymore?
that ties in with the Fallon thing. Does anybody in the
Mhm.
chat know? Do either of you two know? Was Drew Barrymore dragged into the Fallon stuff in some way? Did I mean, I read the entire piece in Rolling Stone, and it was long, but I don't
I don't
remember
know.
her coming up. Was
I
she
don't know
dragged
either.
into like being just like him? You know, they're really good friends from that fucking Summer Catch crap. His
Yes.
wife directed that, and Drew Barrymore is the co-star of that. And I thought somebody had said, maybe it was David that said that Drew Barrymore is dragged into it, that she's just as horrible as Fallon is with that weird, fake nice shit going on camera or whatever. And so what I did was, and because Drew Barrymore was at the karaoke contest, this is Howard 9/11 shaming Drew Barrymore in front of, God, you talk about his porn fantasy, in front of firemen and cops on 9/11. He's doing that sort of stolen valor, badge money bullshit. And there's nothing worse you could do to someone at that point is 9/11 shame someone when everyone was out for the wrong, the Iraq crap and everyone invading the wrong country and everything. So this is Howard going in front. I mean, completely like this thing was everywhere. This is the concert for New York, and everyone's watching it. And you couldn't embarrass anyone more than Drew Barrymore here and Rosie O'Donnell. Fever pitch. Thank you.
Away from New York. I say shame on you. Come back to New York. Don't run, don't hide. People like Drew Barrymore. Don't be afraid, honey. It ain't scary here. I mean, it can't be any worse than spending the night with Tom Green alone. Like Heather Graham, come on back and help us out here in New York. Don't be afraid. You don't have to do the Tonight Show. You can come here and do the David Letterman Show, honey. Don't be afraid. All celebrities should come home and back to New York. Although a few of the celebrities should stay away, like Kathy Lee Gifford and that annoying hen on The View, Star Jones. Thank you for having me here tonight. It's an honor and privilege to be here with firefighters, policemen, the people who protect us.
Look at his hair.
Governor Pataki and Rudy Giuliani.
He's a Republican
Great,
here
great
too. He
hair.
loves
Look at the
Pataki. He
nose,
loves
bro.
Giuliani. That's such a great clip.
You
If
can
you're
conquer
Drew
Europe
Barrymore
with that
watching that
nose.
at home, how terrified are you if you're Drew Barrymore watching that? He's really just rallying the country against you. Not that I feel sorry for her on any level, but you have to be terrified if you heard her in that. It's
Yeah.
not something you overcome. All
Yeah.
that fucking rah-rah, that America, fuck yeah, 9/11 rah-rah bullshit that was going on then, and he's just rallying it against her.
He's a scumbag.
How about Heather Graham getting thrown under the bus? What a weird name to get brought up in that. Whoever wrote
Yeah.
that for him.
Who wrote this for him? Is it
I know.
Benji, I guess? It's
Rosie
pretty-
O'Donnell, and the usual suspects, right? Rosie O'Donnell, Kathy Lee Gifford, Star Jones. Do you guys feel, and I guess certainly the chat can weigh in on this is the end of late night television, the end of the late night talk show?
Maybe.
Not just because of Fallon. It's a culmination of things now.
it's
It's not
irrelevant.
worth it for them to produce.
Yeah, it's like sitcoms.
Yeah.
It's over. It's over.
It's completely
Nobody cares.
antiquated. It's not worth it on any level. There's not enough viewers. I don't know what is in it for them to produce. And I said, I had that epiphany. I don't know. Some ratings thing was flashed, and I saw for the first time that The Simpsons on Fox was beating all the talk shows. It's like, oh, we don't need to do this. And then it was Seinfeld and Everybody Loves Raymond. It was like, why do you need to make? I don't understand what it does for them. I don't understand how it's
pretty
worth it.
crazy if
Yeah.
those sitcoms are beating
Repeats,
because
Vaughn.
that's
Stuff from,
unbelievable. That's when
20
you
years
know
ago.
there's going to be a huge change. Yeah, you're probably right. I think there should be. I mean, you can't have Jimmy Fallon should never have had a career as a talk show host. It is like your classic bit with Paris Hilton. That's intolerable. I don't think I've ever watched a whole episode of him. Something very strange about him. It's very weird. Don't feel comfortable. I feel a slight anxiety with him. He's all... I don't like that.
There's no objectivity when you're telling Paris Hilton how great she is. There's no bottom to that. There's no end in sight. There's no objectivity. It's just like I can't. There's nothing about. He's playing fucking Zim Zam with I don't know. Give me one. Vanessa Carlton or something. And even that's just everything about him. There's got to be something underneath this.
what made late night funny is like Letterman and Carson just busting famous people's balls. And then you have this end of the spectrum where Fallon is literally tonguing their nether regions. You know, it's like there's no, when someone went on Letterman back in the day, you would think, oh, he's going to insult this person at some point.
I think the problem is Lorne Michaels.
That's gone. That's even close. I mean, Conan, he didn't insult people, but he's such a funny, clever guy that, you know, it was always funny to have the spontaneous conversation between him and like Norm or you know, some of the other regular staples on they had. None of that exists anymore. It's all ass kissery. It's just so vanilla.
Yeah, hey, Retard is right. He came on as like an Adam Sandler doppelganger. He basically stole Adam Sandler's guitar parody song shtick when he first hit the scene. And the radar should have been up there. I blame Lorne Michaels really entirely. He has way too much power and way too much control over what you see on late night, and he has no radar. And he has no. It's just his and what his agenda is for that Broadway films. He's really. I think Lorne Michaels is the real problem above it all.
Yeah, he's in charge of everything.
He needs to be kicked to the curb.
Yeah, I mean, and think about it. When Fallon first started doing his gig after the Tonight Show, he was famous for what? For always having like these little him and the Roots doing some weird version of a song, and that became like a thing.
You don't have a hoodie pass, Fallon. I have a hoodie pass. You don't have a hoodie pass. I do.
So if you are going to make a career out of, you know, relying on famous people to do stupid things with you, what threat of it actually being like a real interview could there possibly be? You know,
Shaka Khan's right here too. The next generation just doesn't give a shit about these talk shows.
Don't.
Right? I mean, that's what you got to capitulate to. They don't care. It's over. It's over.
Gen Z doesn't watch TV
or sitcoms.
They don't watch any TV.
They don't.
Like,
they don't.
Not just
they're all
sitcoms. They don't watch
cutters.
any TV.
Yep.
Yeah, you have like now. Okay, we just went 22 years from 9/11 yesterday, so you have literally 2 decades of people who don't care about TV.
Yeah,
it's done. They don't. There's nothing about that they watch. If it's not streaming, they don't care.
One of the hardest names to say in our chat. I'll say it quick. Arnold Strong, a numero uno, and I had this enunciated. ASNU, right? Gutfeld beats them all. I know that's the crazy thing. Greg Gutfeld, the Fox News guy, he beats them all, and they never acknowledge it. He just, and Colbert trounces him too. It's over. Fallon is bugged the shit. Yeah, he would giggle during sketches and stuff, and they kept him on. From what I heard, and this is fact, he would get letters from 14-year-old. They were trying to have like a middle school demographic, and so he was getting letters from like middle school girls, and that kept him on the show because they thought they were hitting like it, and that really saved him in those years where he was breaking character. But then he groomed them. So if anyone gets a chance, read the Horatio Sands, Jimmy Fallon underage grooming saga that happened. So Horatio Sands actually got convicted of it, and Lorne Michaels, I believe, threw money at it to make it go away. He paid her off. It was settled. It was settled, I believe, a year ago. I'm trying to remember what. A lot of outlets covered it. I can't remember which one was the most lengthy one, but just check out Horatio Sands and the grooming saga. Jimmy Fallon was his sidekick in that. I can't believe that I can't believe it wasn't yanked for that, right? You would think in the Me Too generation that would be.
Here's the thing. Fallon, there's been whispers about Fallon for a long time. If anybody is shocked by the recent revelation, it's because you haven't been paying attention.
I don't think he's hetero.
Who literally almost cut his own hand off during a drunken stupor, and it was completely swept under the rug. So it's like this dude has issues, and like Stern, we're not getting any real information on it.
They're all so entitled. He needs attention so bad. These guys need to be on TV. They really think it's their birthright to just stay on. I'll give Kimmel this. Kimmel's been on for 20 years. So by all intents,
up until recently, with the Disney kind of just producing nothing but garbage, he was the voice for every single Marvel, Pixar, Disney thing that came down the pipe. He broadcast from El Capitan on Hollywood Boulevard, of all places. So because of that, he's just became like, like the go-to dude for billions of dollars worth of Hollywood productions. So it's like he doesn't need anybody, but Disney has now faltered, and all that Disney seems to do is live versions of their cartoons, which are all garbage. So, and this with this writer's strike, I don't think there's a coming back from this.
And if it's all about the Benjamins, right, as Ida Greenback's reminded of, then their ratings are cut. They're not making the weight. If it's merit based, they need to go. They're not. You could run what's a shitty sitcom? I mean, you could do Everybody Loves Raymond back to back, and it doubles the ratings of Jimmy Fallon. Why produce that show? What does it do for you? This, like you said, there's some kind of weird pyramid scheme going on, because if it's about money, and they always say that it is, why would you make it? Why would you keep it on? Unless Lorne Michaels has some weird hold over like we say with Howard with series. I just don't understand how they're still on.
Yeah. And now, I mean, even with like for a while, like with Letterman and Conan, you could watch it just for the musical guests, because they would have like the Beastie Boys on and such and such.
Letterman was awesome for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But today, do you really need that when you can go on and see 20 versions of Depeche Mode tour before they even get close to your town?
But even Letterman had faulted. Letterman's last
don't.
days, he was getting like 900,000 viewers, and he was getting $35 million a year.
Right.
And that Worldwide Pants owned the company, so they couldn't fire him with all that preying on the PAs and the interns and stuff. I don't know how that's a deal with the devil. Letterman started the whole thing where, like, that's really when I saw that those shows did not hold up anymore.
Yeah,
like
was he going to do
Simpsons
fire
were like,
himself?
He can fire him, right? So he was smart enough to say
He's not
Worldwide
gonna fire
Pants.
himself.
He also owned the Ray Romano. Everybody Loves Raymond. Worldwide Pants owned the Ray Romano show, so that kept him on too, because it was a massive hit for CBS.
And didn't he own the time slot afterwards too?
Yes, he owned the Tom. He brought in Tom Snyder, and then
Who was
Kilborn
funny as
and Greg
hell.
Ferguson. Yeah,
He was one of the only original dudes that was on. No, not Snyder. Who was the other dude? Who was a British guy?
It's Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson. Thank you.
Well,
Sorry.
you know the Artie
brain
story, right? With that, right? Howard blocked Artie from auditioning for the Kilborn slot. That's one of the unheralded Stern stories. Yeah, Howard made it. He had a lot of pull at CBS. Make no mistake about it, with Infinity and everything. And he got the Karmazin, and he blocked Artie from auditioning for the Kilborn slot. And Artie told that story. God, it was at least 5 or 6 years ago on his own Quitter podcast for the first time. I think it was to John, in fact. It does not get nearly enough play.
What? I think Artie still has a few tales to tell. It'd be nice if he came back for at least
Absolutely.
a minute.
He does. We don't know. We don't know
at this point. He's been off the radar for a couple of years now. So what harm would it have done if you just dropped a couple of bombs before you did that?
Chaka Khan brings up a great point too. Like, in the celebrity interviews in general, if you look at like views on, like, let's say like Matthew McConaughey is on something, it'll get like 34,000 views, and meanwhile like Joe Rogan talking to I don't know, Patrick BET David gets 4 million. The whole thing is it's not what it was. The whole celebrity culture has been torn limb from limb. You don't know what popular is, because it ain't. That whole celebrity culture is not what it was, and they can't handle it.
You know what this is? This is like back when you were a kid, and like Happy Days went, off for the summer, and you're waiting for the fall season to begin, and you don't know like if Potsy's still on the show and stuff. The whole industry is literally in that limbo right now.
It got humbled. It really got humbled. Yeah,
we don't know what the F is going to, if these guys are ever going to cut a deal, because guess what? Production companies know the AI is almost to the point.
You. Yeah.
They don't need the living people.
That's what Chaka Khan's saying. They have no leverage anymore. They don't realize it. They can't handle it.
September 12th, right now, the actors who are on strike are fighting to get unemployment. And the unemployment people are like, well, you do have a job, you're just not going to it. So that's becoming a thing here. So it's gonna get a lot uglier before we see an end to this.
And to bring it back to Howard, this is where he has it made because none of this applies to him in his show. They have no unions they have to adhere to. The guests aren't, and he has Sirius gave him keys to the store in 2000, and he can do whatever. He has zero accountability. You'll never get nobody in show business is going to get a deal like this again.
Am I stupid? Okay, I am stupid. But has Howard actually really talked about the writer's strike or
Bond? You've listened right all week. Anything on it? Anything?
Like in general,
absolutely not. Nothing.
No, it's kind of weird that of all people, Mr. who used to be like the TMZ guy doesn't talk about anything that's relevant that's going on in the world. It's just he doesn't.
We need to bring shame back.
Like he didn't talk about. He hasn't talked about those two things. He didn't talk about the whole Vice thing. I mean, there's so much stuff that he just completely ignores. But yeah, let's talk about freaking Ronnie's wedding for the upteenth time.
When we come back tomorrow, that's a great. I don't know if we circle back to it. It is so bizarre. He hasn't even blurbed the writers actor strike at all, because there's nothing in it for him to do it. Right? Ultimately, right? It's about the ulterior motive and what does he get out of it. He doesn't know. Someone's got to tell him what to say first of all, so he doesn't know what angle to take. And all those guys.
You know what? Because he's not watching like Dawson's Creek and Felicity and all that other garbage that he used to, where it would affect him because there's no content for him to watch. But now
David is a great point here.
He's such an introvert. He's such just this miser under the bridge, pretending to draw and paint. That like he used to be the guy to go to at least get a zinger about pop culture. Not anymore. He is not.
White people problem radio.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing. He doesn't comment on anything that happens beyond brushing a cat on Instagram.
David and Aaron Taylor nail it here. David says the writer's strike has way too many themes similar to his own abusive company, and that's why he won't talk about it, because it's going to it absolutely brings too much attention to what he does, and he doesn't know how to dance around it. Aaron Taylor says Howard isn't smart enough to get into the weeds with it. He doesn't have to worry about anything or anything about it impacting him.
He's like an old man encased in bubble wrap at this point. There's nothing that's going to come out of him that is remotely edgy.
Clay Dabbler says Howard should have gone into the way of podcasting years ago. Now he's turned into the exact thing he said he'd never be, but he won't, Clay Dabbler, because they have metrics and they have statistics that he'd have to adhere to.
Absolutely.
He knows he'd be exposed of having no listeners if he win it. That's why he won't do it. That
he
deal with the devil, he got it serious. He'll never get that again anywhere.
He doesn't want to get shoolied.
Yeah, that's a good place to end.
Look up and like,
that's a good closer.
10 people watch this? Who are these 10 people?
That's a good place to end. Bon, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, definitely. It's been huge. Hope everyone enjoyed. I was just trying to find a Shuli drop.
Do you have any? You have any good ones? We should take stuff from the fight he had with Ronnie cheating on his wife. That's or the fights with Gary. Those are good Shuli drops.
We're all on the same team, bro.
Little wanker. And on that note,
Beautiful.
We're going to be back tomorrow.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the chat. You're brilliant tonight. I wish I could read every last one of your comments, but there's just not enough time. And I will on the deepening.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us tonight. Please join us for any further discussion at RadioGunk.com in the forum section. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RadioGunk. And don't forget to like this and subscribe to us and hit that little bell so you know when we're doing a new show. Thanks.